The room went silent not because she raised her voice, but because everyone already knew what came next. When the billionaire spoke, people nodded. When she decided, people obeyed. And when she was wrong, no one dared to say it, until a tired single dad in a wrinkled jacket stood up, heart pounding, and said the words that would change every life in that room, "Ma'am, sit down." She had arrived late to the charity board meeting, heels sharp against marble, confidence sharper than any blade. Eleanor Whitmore was a name that could freeze conversations mid-sentence. Billionaire investor. Industry legend. A woman whose approval could build careers and whose disapproval could quietly end them. Around the long glass table sat executives, donors, lawyers, and advisors, all perfectly dressed, all carefully silent. At the far end, almost blending into the background, sat Adam Reyes, a single father who had come straight from a night shift, hands still rough, eyes heavy with exhaustion. Adam hadn't planned to speak that day. He had only come because the community center where his daughter spent her afternoons was on the list of programs about to be cut. He wasn't powerful. He wasn't polished. He was just a father who knew what losing that place would mean to dozens of kids like his own, kids who needed somewhere safe, somewhere warm, somewhere that believed in them when the world didn't. Eleanor began reviewing the numbers without looking at anyone. Her voice was calm, controlled, final. According to her projections, the center was inefficient. Too much cost, not enough measurable return. She spoke of optimization and reallocation, words that floated above the table like clean, sharp tools. Heads nodded. Pens scribbled. No one interrupted. Adam felt his chest tighten. He thought of his daughter Sophia, waiting every evening with her homework spread across a plastic table at that center, smiling because someone there always asked about her day. He thought of the mentor who had taught her to read better, the volunteer who made sure she ate when Adam worked double shifts. His hands trembled as Eleanor concluded that the funding would be withdrawn immediately. The vote was about to be finalized when Adam stood up, chairs shifted. Eyes widened. A murmur rippled through the room. Eleanor finally looked up, irritation flashing across her face as if someone had broken an unspoken law. Adam swallowed. His voice shook, but it didn't break. "Ma'am," he said, every instinct screaming at him to sit back down, to apologize, to disappear. Instead, he took a breath and said it anyway. "Sit down. Please." The room froze, security shifted near the door. A senior executive leaned forward, ready to intervene. Eleanor's expression hardened, pride rising like a wall. "Excuse me," she said, the air suddenly cold. Adam didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult her. He simply spoke the truth as he knew it. He told her she was standing above numbers without seeing the people underneath them. He told her that spreadsheets don't show empty refrigerators or kids waiting in the dark for parents who work too late. He told her that efficiency doesn't measure hope. He expected to be thrown out. Instead, something unexpected happened. Eleanor didn't interrupt him. For the first time that morning, she sat down, not because she was ordered to, but because she was listening. Adam spoke slowly, choosing every word like it mattered, because it did. He talked about being a single dad, about failing sometimes, about needing help and finding it in a place that was now being dismissed as non-essential. He didn't beg. He explained. And in his honesty, the room began to change. Silence returned, but it was different now. Heavier. More human. Eleanor leaned back, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. When Adam finished, he sat down, heart racing, convinced his life had just become much harder. She looked around the table, at the executives who had always agreed with her, and asked a simple question no one expected: "Why didn't any of you say this?" No one answered. The meeting was adjourned early. Adam left unsure whether he had helped or destroyed the one chance his community had. That night, he kissed his daughter goodnight with the weight of uncertainty pressing on his chest, wondering if courage had been worth the cost. The next morning, everything changed. Adam was called back, not to be reprimanded, but to be heard. Eleanor requested a private conversation, not in a boardroom, but at the community center itself. When she arrived, she didn't bring assistants or cameras. She walked through the worn halls, saw the peeling paint, the mismatched chairs, the kids laughing anyway. She watched Sophia read aloud, proud and confident, and something inside her shifted. Eleanor had grown up with nothing. She had promised herself she would never be powerless again. Somewhere along the way, power had turned into distance. Adam hadn't disrespected her, He had reminded her who she used to be. Funding wasn't just restored. It was expanded. Programs were improved. Staff were trained and paid fairly. Eleanor began visiting quietly, regularly, listening more than speaking. The executives who once nodded without thinking started asking harder questions, challenging assumptions, learning that leadership wasn't about being uncorrected, it was about being willing to be. Adam didn't become famous. He didn't get rich. He went back to work, back to parenting, back to showing up. But something followed him now, confidence rooted in truth, not fear. At the next annual meeting, Eleanor stood before the same room and told them a story, not about profits or growth, but about a single dad who reminded her that respect isn't silence, and courage doesn't wear expensive suits. She ended with words that stayed with everyone long after the lights dimmed. The day no one dares to correct us, she said, is the day we stop deserving to lead. And somewhere in the back of the room, Adam held his daughter's hand, knowing that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand up, speak simply, and tell the truth, no matter who is standing in front of you.